Hello friends, I'm Nukebrush, and today we are going to make Imperial air defense platforms, the Hyperios.
Time to go nuclear.
These models came to me already printed. This is an unusual video since there are 3 of these platforms. They are all similar and yet slightly different, so I decided to make them in 3 versions of Green Camouflage, also similar but also different. I don't show the assembly process, since in fact there was no assembly, because I want to leave the models as disassembled as possible for camo purpose, therefore practically did not glue anything together. I only added magnets to the supporting platform itself. And all as usual I cleaned up the traces of support from a 3D print. I prime the models using neutral primer Mr. Surfacer 1000, which helps identify defects that need to be eliminated before further painting. These same defects discovered after the primer had dried were repaired with Mr. Surfacer 500 liquid putty and lightly sanded. Then a second layer of base primer was applied. As a base for the shadows, I used brown paint primer one-shot primer brown oxide. I apply this primer easily, in 1 to 1.5 layers, and only on the lower parts of the platforms and on the rocket launch boxes. So, 3 different camouflages: pixel, hex and wave. To apply all these camos, I will use my own stencils. To make such custom stencils, I will use regular printed paper. I made the hexagonal template myself in a regular text editor and printed it out. Then I place regular adhesive tape onto the paper blank, and then stick masking tape on top of it. For the basis of the pixel camo, I prepared a blank made up of squares with a side of 3 mm and also printed it on plain paper. Using a sharp scalpel, I cut out the stencil. We will need all parts of the stencil, so I try to cut out as carefully as possible. To make a wave stencil, I use a metal template onto which I directly glue masking tape. The template has grooves along which is convenient to cut out the stencil, so there is nothing complicated here either. Now we can apply the base for the first hex camouflage. I start with a light color, in my case white, so I use setting white paint. When the paint has dried, I carefully glue the prepared stencil and apply the next color, dunkelgelb. This light creamy sand color will become the basis of our camouflage. What about green camouflage, you ask? Don't worry, his time has come. I paste the next layer of stencil and apply a Rosetta green paint. There will be a lot of this color, but not too much. The main thing is that it will stand out well on the model and especially on the front face of the rocket launcher pad. The last color of the hex camouflage will be a clay brown paint. This is a light brown color that does not darken other colors, but only emphasizes them. Overall, it turned out to be a bright light camo that I am quite pleased with. Let's move on to pixel one. It is easier to apply and has fewer colors, but still the result is always predictably positive. As a base for the green pixel, I use Rosetta paint with a dark tone, which I apply in 1 layer to the entire model. Nice green color makes it convenient to work with shadows, and it is also easier to apply other lighter or darker colors. When the paint has dried, I paste the stencil and apply the next green color, this time a lighter shade of Rosetta. The last darkest green will be achieved by olive green paint. The 3-color green pixel is ready. Let's move on to the next camouflage. The third camo scheme, Wave, also consists of 3 green colors, but unlike pixel, it will be darker and more saturated. As the base color I used light green khaki paint. Compared to previous camouflages, this is dark green paint with an olive tint, but in our third camo scheme it is the lightest color. The paint has dried, so we can glue the stencil and apply the next color, green khaki, an even more saturated dark green color. The final darkest color will be provided by the gelb olive paint. The result is a model with the darkest camouflage of all 3, the most camouflaged one, I think. I can say that I am pleased with the result. When the paints have dried, we can remove the stencils and start highlighting the details of the rocket platforms. Using a brush and metallic paints gunmetal and light metal, we paint all the elements which should be bare metal. To protect already painted surfaces, I use masking tape. We also need to paint and highlight the rockets. I paint the rocket warheads of the hex camo with a dark grey color, which will stand out well against the light green base. When all decorative elements are painted, the models are ready to be varnished. Since I will be applying decals, I used Aqua Gloss Clear. I want to put a unit number on our rocket platforms, and I chose a flat spot on the model's turret as the ideal place for this marking. To better integrate the decals, I used model chemistry, first mark Saturn Neo to install the decals, and then mark Softer Neo to better weld them. It's not a hard work, and the main thing is to be careful. When all the main elements are ready, we can start highlighting the details of the rocket platforms with washes. For pure green camouflages, Pixel and Wave, I use Model Chemistry dark brown wash for green vehicles. This wash is ideal for our 3-color green camo patterns. It helps in creating a shadow effect and at the same time highlights all the protruding elements. The wash that I use is enamel-based and has good fluidity, especially on a glossy surface. But it should be remembered that with models printed on a 3D printer, care must be taken, since if after printing there are unfilled bits or, on the contrary, unwanted protrusions, wash will highlight them. So we control the whole process with a brush dipped in thinner. The hex camouflage is lighter, so I used another product for it, US Modern Vehicle Wash. I apply washes to all basic structural details and removable elements. We can remove excess wash using a sponge, brush or clean rag. The main thing is not to overdo it, so not to remove the wash along with the varnish and paint. After the washes have dried, the model can be varnished to protect our work. In such cases I usually use a matte varnish. Unlike my previous work as a Scorpicore rocket platform, check it out if you haven't seen it yet, these rocket platforms have optical elements. I decided that the guidance systems of the rocket platforms, regardless of camo scheme, would be in 3 colors, green, blue and red. As a base for blue and green, I use dark blue paint, onto which I apply the remaining colors in layers to create a lens effect. In contrast, the brightest colors are black and white, located in the opposite corners of the lens, black in the upper right corner, white respectively in the lower left. Between the fundamentally contrasting colors, the shades of blue are applied, from deep dark black blue to light cyan blue. I try to apply colors in layers, but with transitions and mutual overlap, from the darkest to the lightest. To create the final lens effect, I use various paint varnishes. Now we can start creating wear in our models. First, as usual, we will make chipping. Using a sponge, we create the effect of worn and chipped paint. For pixel camouflage, I use light Hesidahyun paint. The wave camouflage will be chipped using light green khaki paint. And on the hex camouflage, I apply chips with dunkelgelb light sand paint. Such chips, of course, most often appear in places of greater stress from natural wear or damage. Using a brush, I enhance and combine some of the chipped points into a single mesh structure. The main thing in applying chips is not to overdo it, so as not to overload the model. On the top of light chips I apply dark brown paint, which imitates the effect of rust formed as a result of paint chipping to bare metal. There are few such places, and therefore it is not necessary to apply dark paint to all light chips, only to the largest ones or in those places that need to be emphasized. This time I did not apply other weathering products to the rocket launchers, and only limited myself to simulating ash deposits on the exhaust grills. We apply the final coat varnish, and that's it. Our rocket systems are ready to repel any threat from the air. If you liked this video and want to see more models like this, feel free to comment, like and share it. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Good luck with your models and see you soon!